If you could make developing your games much easier by spending valuable time making tools for it, would you do it? Unfortunately for me, the answer to that question is almost always yes. And I just can't seem to stop. So in this video, I want to talk about some of the tools I've made for my game Skies of Avium, and who knows, maybe talking about this will make me feel less guilty about not having added any content to the game in a while. Or at least give you some ideas on how to maybe improve your workflow. That would be cool too. This is the first tool I want to show off, which also happens to be my most recent tool. It's a dialogue creator. Skies of Avium will be a game with quite a lot of dialogue, and I was getting so frustrated with how unorganized everything was. And that was the case with only a few bits of dialogue. Imagine once the game is like Stardew Valley level amount of dialogue. That sounds like a nightmare. I'm not saying that that will happen, by the way. I know that Stardew Valley is massive and I am scared. But before, I used scriptable objects. Each scriptable object would contain a bunch of messages for that bit of dialogue. And if something needed to happen during a dialogue, like you would get an item or whatever, there would be a list of functions that would run either at the start of a message or at the end of a message. It's very simple, but it is also incredibly difficult to navigate, because going through a list like this is so frustratingly difficult, and just messing around with it afterwards is even harder. I mean, like, look at this folder filled with items, for example. Imagine this was all dialogue. How am I ever going to find a very specific kind of dialogue if I am stupid and forget what it's called? Knowing what connects to what is gonna be impossible at that point, and honestly, just explaining it to you is already giving me anxiety. People were kind enough to give me recommendations left and right on how to create and organize dialogue, but none of those solutions seemed to work for me specifically and what I wanted for my game. I mean, I just needed to adjust way too much for it to work for me, and when it's someone else's code and you don't quite know how it works exactly, it doesn't work. So naturally, I built my own. I just really like doing this stuff. Here you have a drop down of every character type in the game. These can be Olympian gods, these can be other gods, these can be titans, or these can be NPCs. Whenever you select one of them, a new drop down will update and it'll show you what characters are part of that character type currently. And when you select one of those, let's say we pick Apollo over here, we see his dialogue tree, which is currently empty. I'm sorry. But here I can add dialogue nodes, each node holding data like the kind of message that it is, does it run any functions, should it run a completely different dialogue branch afterwards, all that kind of stuff. Oh, and obviously what's the actual message, you know? That's part of the dialogue. But like I said, is it just pure text or is it a choice? What choices do I have? What do the choices do? Do they run another dialogue branch or do they run a function? What does it all do? All this data is part of a single node, and because obviously dialogue is connected, you can actually visually connect all these nodes to one another as well. Only one after another, because there's no splitting. If you have a choice, you just tell it, hey, go run this dialogue branch next. For organization purposes, I've also made it so it shows me what the starting node is, so I don't lose track when I see an entire branch and I'm trying to figure out what is actually a different branch from another. I just see, oh, this is a starting node. Also, for even more clarity, I've added the ability to add sections, so I can just name a section and be like, okay, this is the intro for this specific character right here, and this is every dialogue branch that might be related to their intro. Obviously it's an intro, so it's only going to be one, but just in case, you can do that. You can also make it, and we'll talk about that some other time, that they have separate responses depending on how much they like you. If they really like you and you accidentally hit them or something, they'll be very kind. I mean, it's so incredibly easy to navigate and to just create new things and to edit all of them. It is so incredibly easy, and it only took me like 2 weeks to make, which sounds like a lot, but this is going to save me months. But now I can imagine you might be wondering something. Why is this tool inside of a Unity scene exactly? Like, why, in a way, does this play like a regular Unity game? Great question. And honestly, the answer is quite simple. I do not understand at all how to code editor windows and editor behavior. At all. And instead of spending more time learning that, I figured I could just, do what I do know. So I just built it like I would with any other Unity project. I just started with a base scene, and surprise, surprise, this is all UI, which I really, really desperately hate. But surprisingly, again, this went really well, and I actually enjoyed making this. I can actually highly recommend doing it like this. Sure, it could be nice and probably very useful to learn how to make proper editor tools, because navigation is so much easier that way, but I am personally very happy with this solution. And I even added in these 2 buttons here at the top so I can easily switch between my main scene and my dialogue creator scene without, having to go through folders a bunch and clicking those. So this is incredibly easy for that, and it's a great combination with my tool. So yes, if you already know how to make basically anything inside of Unity, and you need a tool that is possible to make inside of a scene like this, then why not, right? I mean, unless you can make editor tools, but this is a great solution for me. Anyway, I just press save here and it exports all data to a JSON file inside my project folder, which I then access once at runtime. It very clearly saves everything for me so that I can also easily read it, because it shows me exactly what's what and how deep this branch actually goes. And I even set it up to work well with localization later down the line, which reminds me of my second tool. Big stretch. When I made my cozy city builder, Le Chateau, I wanted to add localization because it's a small game and I figured that would be nice for players to be able to play in their own language. I made a spreadsheet where the first column was a label key and every column after that would be the translation for that text in their language. I would then download this as a CSV and import it into my project, and every bit of text will be read directly from the file. This was great, but also a massive hassle. Do you know how many buttons I had to press? I don't like counting that high. Like, I could feel myself age with every button press. Do you see this gray hair? I am 27. So I actually this time made a proper editor tool for this. It's a simple editor button in a custom window. And when you press the button, it takes the spreadsheet and it automatically imports the CSV into your project. So now I can just easily add anything I want to the spreadsheet and just press that button, and it will automatically just dump that into this file, and there you go. I can use this for translation very easily. Now, a speed run of some other tools I made. This is a sprite replacer. It replaces every instance of a sprite with another sprite in the entire project, so you don't have to manually go through every prefab or UI bit or whatever to replace it yourself, because I hate manual labor. It just goes poof and it swaps them out for you. And I did the same with this font replacer, because fonts suck. Or another tool where I can just instantly replace all the sprites for a specific item within this window over here. It's basically the same as the sprite replacer, but now for just specifically an item. Or this one, which I've actually briefly mentioned before, I believe, where I turn pixels from a very simple drawing into game objects or a tile map or just world. I'm building my world like this. I'm trying anyway. I've used this on so many occasions, but just turning very simple pixel art that's not actually pixel art, but just a collection of pixels really, and then use that as data to then just turn that into an actual level. I think that is so cool, and I'm so proud of it. And finally, a tileset creator. I'm happy to share with you that I have finally found artists to help me with making Skies of Avian come to life. I cannot do this on my own. I'm very excited for what's to come, but since they're still hard at work on a lot of things, I can only show you a preview of what's to come for now. Look at how cool that is! But they've also been working on more tile sets or improving already existing tile sets, and to make sure our lives don't become a living hell, I've made it so we don't have to manually define each sprite, like in what scenario they'll be used or something. They just make their sprite sheet and then press a button and it automatically creates a custom rule tile for them, which can then be used to draw with. Super easy and saves everyone a massive headache. If it works, that is still the question sometimes. I am unfortunately not that smart. I feel like I still have a lot to learn about speedrunning, because this is kind of embarrassing. But that's a quick video about all the tools that I've made for my project, and I'm sure I'll continue to make many more as I need them. Literally anything to avoid making any real progress. Using assets is so incredibly useful and can save you a lot of time. I highly recommend using the asset store for anything you might need, that is, of course, if you use Unity, and otherwise try making your own stuff. I mean, why not if you can, if you know how to do it. Either way, now that I've finally got help again with Skies of Avium, I can finally make some real progress and hopefully make some devlogs as well again for you soon. Until then, if you like survival crafting game, maybe you like Minecraft Skyblock, maybe you like Stardew Valley, Terraria, Forge or something like that, and maybe Greek mythology, automation stuff, Skies of Avium might be for you, so link is in the description below to wishlist it on Steam. You can also support me on Patreon if you want, where you can get monthly builds, assuming the game isn't completely broken. But supporting me there gives you monthly builds, and if you go 1 tier higher, you can even get yourself a Steam key, which just grants you access to the game forever. It is not a monthly thing, it's just instantly forever. Anyway, with that, a huge thank you to Blake for supporting me on the God tier, which gives you a spot in the game's credits. Okay, subscribe. Bye.